Hi, and welcome to a Life Soul podcast, where we explore personal growth, high performance, and intentional living. I am Wasim Balani, and I believe life isn't just about getting through the day, it's about becoming fully alive in everything we do. Through my journey, whether in medicine as a heart rhythm cardiologist, cycling and running, or personal development, I have learned that success isn't just about reaching goals, but about who we become along the way. This podcast is here to inspire and challenge you to push your limits, cultivate discipline, and live with purpose. Join me each week as we dive into ideas, reflections, and practical strategies to help you grow into your best self. So let's get started. Hey there, and welcome back to a Life Soul podcast. We're just coming out of the new year, a time when a lot of us set goals, make resolutions, and tell ourselves, this year will be different. This year, I will achieve my goals I've been dreaming about. And yet, if we're honest, most people don't actually stick to their goals for a long time. Not because they don't care, not because they lack motivation or discipline, but because once life picks up again, days get busy, routines take over, and those goals slowly get pushed to the side. Have this ever happened to you? Have you ever set goals you cared about and then wondered why they never really happened? It wasn't because you didn't want them badly enough, not because you were not capable, but because days got full, time slipped by, and those goals never really found a place in your daily life. See, I don't think most goals fail because of lack of motivation. I think they fail because our days are lived randomly. We all have plans, we all have goals. Almost everyone I speak to does. But what differentiates the people who actually move forward from those who don't is not intelligence, it's not talent, or even how badly they want it. It's how intentional they are about committing to those goals. Some people start their day without direction, or they just go through the motions. Other people keep their goals in front of them. They remind themselves of what matters. They plan their days around priorities instead of hoping they'll get to them if there is time. They don't leave progress to chance, because over time, I've learned something very simple and very true. Goals don't usually fail on their own. They fail because our days are random. And when I talk about living randomly, I lived that myself firsthand. There were periods in my life where I was just going through the motions, at work, at home, and everywhere. On the surface, I looked busy. I looked productive. But most of my energy was reactive. I was responding to emails, messages, responsibilities. I wasn't so intentional about how I was spending my free time. Occasionally filling empty moments with watching TV, or maybe scrolling on social media. Not because I wanted to, but because I hadn't decided what my priorities really were. There was no clear structure to my day that reflected my deeper values or my true goals. I had some progress sometimes, but it wasn't steady. One step forward, one step backward, a lot of zigzagging. There was movement, but no clear upward trajectory. And that's what random living looks like. You can be busy and still feel stuck. You can be active and still feel misaligned. Then at some point, things started to change. Not suddenly, and definitely not perfectly, but I became more intentional. I stopped leaving important things to chance. I started engaging more seriously in personal development. I spent time getting more clear on what I actually wanted. Not what sounded good, not what looked good, but what truly mattered to me. And most importantly, I became more intentional and deliberate about acting on it. I stopped hoping things would somehow work out and started deciding that they would through consistent action. And that's when something became very clear to me. Nothing meaningful in my life improved when I left it in random. My marathon training is probably one of the clearest examples of this. I didn't approach it casually. I didn't say, let's see how it goes. I put a training plan in place. I committed to that plan. and I focused on execution. I didn't rely on motivation or excitement, because excitement comes and goes. I relied on structure, I planned my runs, I protected time for them. I adjusted my days around the goal instead of hoping I would feel like it. And I showed up, even on days when energy was low, when life was busy, when skipping would have been easier. And the results? I ran the marathon nonstop, comfortably, in under 4.5 hours. And a year earlier, I couldn't even have imagined running a marathon. And while I was running that marathon, it really hit me. This was not luck. This was not talent. This was intention repeated daily. Now, I want to be clear with you about something. My days are still not 100% intentional. I still lose focus sometimes. I still slip. There are days where I react more than I choose. Days where distractions win. The difference now isn't perfection, it's awareness. I notice it sooner. I catch myself drifting, and I correct the course faster than I used to. See, the goal was never to live perfectly. No one does. The goal is to live intentionally as much as possible, and to be honest when you're not, because awareness is the first step towards intention. And intentional living doesn't mean controlling every minute of your day. It doesn't mean to be rigid, and it doesn't mean to be obsessed in a stressful way. It means being deliberate. See, intentional people think ahead. They decide what matters before the day decides for them. They are more clear about their goals. Because life naturally pulls you towards comfort, ease, and distraction. And without intention, we drift there without even realizing it. So, if we're talking about becoming more intentional, the question naturally comes up, okay, but how? And what actually helps? And I want to say this upfront, I'm still working on this too. This isn't a list of things I've mastered. These are things I try to come back to when I notice myself drifting. One thing that really helps is simply getting more clear than you were before. Not about everything, just about what matters most right now. Because when you're not clear on what truly matters in this season of your life, your days start to feel scattered. You might be busy, you might be doing a lot, but there's no real sense of direction. Sometimes it's as simple as asking yourself, what deserves more attention right now? Or what keeps getting pushed aside even though I know it matters? Another thing that helps is keeping those intentions visible in some way. Not obsessively, not perfectly, just not letting them disappear into the background. For me, I don't always write things down. I usually keep a mental list of what I want to focus on. For others, it might be writing things down, putting them on a calendar, or setting a reminder. Whatever helps you keep it visible. The method doesn't matter as much as the awareness. Because what you see consistently, you think about, and what you think about, you're more likely to act on it. One other way that really helps is planning your day ahead, which means deciding ahead of time what deserves space in your day. Because if you don't decide, random things will always fill that space for you. And finally, start small and stay consistent, but always aim big. Because intentional living doesn't start with a big overhaul. It usually starts with one small decision that breaks a cycle of randomness. And when you slip, which we all do, the goal isn't guilt. It's noticing sooner and gently coming back. Because that's really what intentional living is. Not perfection, but awareness practiced consistently. So before we close, I want to remind you that intentional living isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters and aligning your actions with your purpose. I also want to remind you that your life is shaped by how you live each day, by how you wake up, by where your energy goes, by what you allow to take up space in your mind and your schedule. Because if you don't decide what your day is about, someone else will decide for you. Distractions will decide. Urgency will decide. Other people's priorities will decide. And slowly, without meaning to, you can end up far from the life you actually want to live. But the good news is, you don't need a new life to change direction. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need more motivation. You just need one intentional choice. One moment where you pause and say, today I'm not going to live randomly. Today I'm going to choose what matters. And that choice might look small. It might feel ordinary. But small, intentional choices, repeated, change everything. They build momentum, they create alignment, they turn drifting into direction. And no, you won't be perfect. You will slip. You'll still have random days, but you'll be aware. And that awareness changes how quickly you come back. So before this day gets away from you, I want to invite you to do one simple thing. Ask yourself, what deserves my best energy today? Then act on it, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Because intentional living doesn't start tomorrow, it starts now. And your life, your time, your energy, your potential deserves that kind of intention. So don't live randomly, live with intention. Win your day back and let that be how you move toward your goals. And remember, every habit you build, every effort you make, it all adds up. So keep showing up because the small step you take intentionally today are shaping the person you become tomorrow. That's it for this episode, my friends. And if you like it, please share it with people around you because we all grow better when we do it together.